longer.
In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the brand new Enmity tradition, and we're going to try and work out why it is now the best tradition in Stellaris that you can possibly take. Now, I'm sure some of you might disagree with me, and I welcome you to let me know down in the comments below what you think about this new tradition. But without any further ado, let's dive straight in and look at what it actually does. Let's start by diving into our traditions and seeing exactly what the Enmity tradition does. Our people never move so fast as when other people are setting the pace. Adoption effects. We will unlock the Second Strike agenda, which is very powerful. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We will get plus 3% pop growth per neighboring rival and plus 3% pop assembly per neighboring rivalry and plus 1 maximum rivalries. This opener means we go from having a maximum of 3 possible rivalries up to 4. This number is going to be very important. It will affect other things, not just this pop growth and pop assembly. Looking at the left-hand side, we have Rise to the Occasion. Leader capacity increases by 0.5 per rival. So if we have 4 rivals, which is the current maximum at the start of this tradition, that's plus 2 leader capacity, which is almost half of one of these Ascension perks over here, just from a single tradition pick. That's really good. Consummate Contrarian means whenever we are opposing a resolution, we get a whopping 50% extra diplomatic weight, which is terrible if you hate the galactic community, but if you are trying to prevent someone else from becoming the custodian or passing through some legislation you don't like, this is an amazing tradition. Match is all about leveling the playing field. While you are militarily weaker than a rival, you'll get minus 10% ship build cost and plus 10% ship build speed. That, of course, means that you can wait for your rival to build ships first, and then as soon as they have more ships than you are militarily weaker, then you can build ships at a reduced cost, which is really nice. While you are technologically weaker than a rival, you'll get minus 15% researcher upkeep and plus 100% research labs build speed. This is not as good as the previous bonus, but will let you level up faster if you need to get some research worlds up and running to catch up with an opponent. Whilst economically weaker than a rival, you'll get plus 10% output to your workers, or in this case, menial drones. Outpace is really simple. You get a nice 15% damage bonus to all of your rivals, making it easier to punch them in the face. Eclipse is currently the most powerful tradition pick in the game. It allegedly grants 2% increased science and unity per rival after you win a humiliation war. Unfortunately, due to a minor error in the coding, which will, I believe, be fixed in the future, this doesn't grant 2% per rival. It instead grants 20%, which of course is overwhelmingly powerful. If we have 4 rivals, that would be 80% extra science and unity. But even if it was this plus 2%, that's still quite a nice bonus to have. 8% extra science and unity for 10 years for winning a war. Finally, if we finish Enmity, we will get plus 1 available envoys, and we will unlock the Antagonistic Diplomatic Stance. That diplomatic stance is also fundamentally overpowered at the moment, so let's take a look at it. First up, Antagonistic makes all of your rival empires hate you just that little bit more. It will increase the negative opinion impact of a rivalry by an extra 100. Restrictions on the rival action against empires more powerful than us are removed, and restrictions on the rival action are relaxed both for us and against us. If an empire is pathetic, you won't be able to rival them still, but this means you can rival anyone all the way up to an overwhelming superpower like a fallen empire. So that's probably not recommended. You get plus 2 maximum rivalries, putting us up to a whopping 6 possible rivals. You also get plus 20 unity from rivalries. Now this is just pretty bonkers. This means that around year 10, 15 or 20, depending on when you meet other people in the galaxy, you can be gaining at least 120 unity per month, which in the early game is more unity than most empires are able to put out, simply from your rivalries. Yes, you get plus 100% border friction, but that doesn't matter. And finally, we'll be getting an extra 5% diplomatic weight per rival, which could be as much as plus 30% just from this one policy. That unity bonus, which can be accessed very early on, is so powerful. I'm now going to take a look at a quick build, and then we're going to run through some of the steps I think you need to take in order to get the most that you can from the Enmity tradition. And if you're enjoying this video, please actively oppose that like button. The Hunger are the empire I am going to use today to show off just how powerful the Enmity are. They are a progenitor hive which grants some great bonuses. They're also an invasive species, budding, natural neural network, neural vault, and of course a hive mind, meaning they're a Gestalt consciousness. I'm not going to go through all of these bonuses, they're not actually that important. You can use Enmity with any empire, and actually at this point, if you're not using Enmity, you're missing out on one of the most powerful tricks in the game. Right, we're in the game now. The first thing I'm going to do is start building a science ship. We need a couple more science ships to go out there and explore, because we need to start the first contact missions as soon as we can. Otherwise, just play the game normally. When it comes to traditions, I've started off with aptitude for the extra leader trait, because leader traits are very powerful at the moment, and I've taken rise from the crowd to reduce my leader cost and increase leader pool size. I then switched over immediately to Enmity, and I've taken all of the different bonuses here. I've also gone out into the galaxy, as you can see with one of my science ships. Some other science ships went in different directions and found other enemies, I mean friends to be discovered, and then I'm completing as many of the first contact projects as I can. Here is the first species we have met. We can of course declare Rivalry. Now that's going to grant us 0.5 influence per month and 30.6 unity. Hang on a minute, you might be thinking. How is it granting 30.6 unity? I remember the policy saying 20 unity per month. This is about 50% more. Well, we've taken Finding the Voice. There is a Normie Empire equivalent of this, granting plus 40% unity. I actually went at the beginning of the game and switched into this rather than completing Infinite Opportunities. This, when stacked with other bonuses, means the Declare Rivalry action doesn't just grant 20, but 30 unity. Before I do declare Rivalry, I will check to see if they've got any communications with any other empires. If they do, I might give them a favor or two to either boost the relations to a point where they will give me communications with these other empires, or straight out to trade for the communication. Because I'm going to be stomping all over them and possibly annexing them relatively quickly, I really don't mind handing out a few favors. Well, the Agarians don't know anybody, so we'll declare them a rival straight away. And that's boosted our unity from 70 up to 100. And we've only taken our first of 6 possible rivals. I'm going to keep going out into the galaxy and finding as many aliens as I can. I'll be declaring them rivals, which will boost my unity production and influence, and doing that trick that I just mentioned to make sure we can get any communications that we need. This empire is now neutral to us because I shared favors, and now yes, they know quite a few people. That's why there's this -8 here. So I'm going to trade another favor and hopefully get my hands on a whole little posse of alien empires. And there we go. We've just gotten access to 1, 2, 3 more alien empires, meaning I can now declare rivalry with basically everybody out there in the universe, which has boosted my unity production to nonsense levels. It's year 14 here, and we're making 262 unity per month, which means as long as we can keep this going for a little while, Enmity will basically be paying for itself. We will be completing other traditions at almost the same speed as if we hadn't picked this at all, which kind of makes all of the bonuses free. But getting insane levels of unity production is not the only bonus we can get here. We can also declare war on our neighbors, actually on anybody in the galaxy. As long as we are rivals with them, then we can do the Humiliate War goal. Now we must make sure we don't become overwhelming to our enemies, so as we're building ships, you want to hold back a bit. Make sure in the Declare War screen, make Tributary or Vassalize is available. That will mean that your military is generally better than theirs. However, it's not so good that you are no longer able to have them as a rival and use the Humiliate War goal. We then will declare a Humiliate War, and we'll use our small but rather mighty Year 20 Navy of 3k, to go and win this war. Now, I here would claim only a couple of systems. I'm not looking to take core worlds because I would actually like this empire to rebuild and get to the point where they can become either my vassal or alternatively another rival, so I can do this thing all over again. Because I've knocked out the mainstay of their navy, and that means they are pathetic compared to us. So after this war is over, our rivalry will be cancelled. Speaking of finishing the war, we can now achieve war goals. Let's take a note of where we are with unity and also with research production. We're making 137 unity and 711 research. We've won the war, we've gained 100 influence and the reaffirmed superiority. That reaffirmed superiority, as I mentioned, isn't granting 2% per rivalry, it's granting 20, meaning we're getting 120% research and unity per month for 10 years. Now remember, we were at 700 research and 100 and something unity. We're now at 300 unity and 1.2k of research per month at year 22. We're making 88 alloys, which isn't amazingly large, but for this strategy, in single player especially, you don't need a massive alloy base because you need to keep your fleets only slightly ahead of other empires. Sadly, we can no longer declare the Agaran Authority a rival, but we can find someone else out there in the galaxy and declare them a rival instead. With those bonuses I mentioned earlier, the 120%, that is 50 unity per rivalry. And we no longer have that special agenda firing. So in another 20 years, when we can go back to finding the voice active again around year 45, we will be boosting that by a further 40%, I think bringing us up to something like 60 unity per rival, which is 300 unity overall from the 6 rivals. Now we do have our fleet here and available. What I'm going to do is move up to the next neighbor and then go and bash them on the head. I am going to be careful though not to win this war before we get to 10 years. Because if I get reaffirmed superiority again, it doesn't stack additively with this bonus, it instead replaces reaffirmed superiority and resets that 10-year timer. But the general strategy from here on out is to consistently expand, take some territory from our neighbors or make them vassals, while making sure there are enough empires in the galaxy, 6 that are still independent, that we can use the Humiliate War Goal on, so that we can make sure every 10 years we're getting a 120% bonus to our unity and research. Now, even when this gets fixed, because at the moment it is something of a bug and is reduced down to 2% research and unity per rival, so a maximum of 12%, this is still a viable strategy. Running around and getting a bonus to your research and unity, and also conquering territory, and getting all of the other bonuses we get from the Antagonistic Diplomatic Stance, plus the Enmity tradition itself, is going to be still very powerful, making it probably the most powerful tradition in Stellaris at the moment. And you know what I haven't even mentioned? I haven't even mentioned the second strike agenda, which honestly is also super broken. So this gives us increased sublight speed and reduces the time spent missing in action, meaning our ships will get home faster. We also get, when it's launched, plus 25% sublight speed and +1 disengagement opportunities. So our ships will be able to get into the flight or travel around the galaxy to where they're needed faster than ever before. On top of that, if it wasn't enough, we remove all truces with our rivals. So if another empire is able to rebuild their fleet, and we can only hope they can, up to a point where we can rival them again, or alternatively, if we dismantle a few of our ships to come down to their level, by taking second strike, we can do the whole thing over again and attack an enemy that is already reeling from our first assault. In PvP especially, this is absolutely devastating. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to watch some more Stellaris content, click the video on screen now.